Access to Democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, the Answer Company. The Division Championship Minnesota Twins are looking to go all the way to the World Series in 2024. Bolstered by inspirational shortstop Carlos Correa, a healthy Brian Buxton, and rookie phenom Royce Lewis, plus a pitching staff led by Pablo Lopez and an outstanding bullpen featuring Johan Duran, the Twins are the best bargain in the major leagues, and Target Field is the best venue in baseball. Sheridan Dulas & Kins, PA, a family and criminal defense law firm, has been serving clients in Dakota County and throughout Minnesota for over 40 years. Ranked a Tier 1 Best Law Firm by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009, Sheridan Dulas & Kins are here to help you in your most difficult life circumstances. Established in 2007, 45th Parallel Spirits was among the first 50 micro-distilleries in the United States. Based in New Richmond, Wisconsin, all aspects of production occur at our facility. If you're interested in visiting and learning more about the 45th Parallel Distillery, please check our website and plan a visit to tour our facility and taste our spirits. Truestone Financial, with locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, has proudly served its members since 1939. Truestone engages, educates, and supports its members to ensure they have the tools to empower their financial well-being. Truestone Financial, your neighborhood credit union. Learn more at truestone.org.
Hello, I'm Steve Francisco, your host. Welcome to Access to Democracy. It's a pleasure for me to welcome to our studio today Julie Andersen, who is what's the title? Administrator, Director?
I'm a Recreation Supervisor.
Recreation Supervisor at the Eagan Art House. And we're going to be talking about the Eagan Art House, what an asset is to our community. You're going to learn a little bit today in our show about some of the classes they offer. Julie, welcome to Access to Democracy.
Thank you. So good to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me.
And so tell our viewers a little bit about yourself first.
Sure.
Where are you from? Where did you grow up and go to school?
Sure. So I grew up in Colorado, in the Denver area in a suburb. Still a big piece of my heart, that Colorado environment there. I went away for college and then moved back to Denver and started my career there, first in marketing and advertising, and got married along the way, and I got my master's in nonprofit arts management from the University of Colorado in Denver. Part of one of my assignments was to study a nonprofit and to see what they needed, and they needed a director. So I said, I can do your work for me. So that was my first job in nonprofit.
That was in Colorado?
That was in Colorado, and that was with the Colorado Alliance for Arts Education. So it was an art education advocacy organization associated with the Kennedy Center at that time.
In Washington.
In Washington.
Right.
So there were several alliances around the country, and it was just fun to be a part of that advocacy part and making sure that kids had access to the arts in the schools.
Right. So what was it that drew you to Minnesota?
My husband got a job here, so we moved for his job, but also the schools are just amazing here in Minnesota. We wanted to be closer to trees and lakes and things like that. I will always miss Colorado, but Minnesota.
It's only an hour and a half flight away.
I know. We'll be there soon.
Yeah.
So it's been great. We've been here almost 25 years.
Good long time.
So that is our home. Our children were born in Colorado, but they have gone through school right here in Eagan, so Dakota Hills Middle School and Eagan High School.
So you knew how to find our studio today
I
here
did.
at Eagan High School?
Yes, I did. It has been many years since I've been in this building.
Right.
But yeah, it was a wonderful experience for our family.
Well, we're glad to have you here. So I understand that you took a pottery class at the Eagan Art Center that you are now the administrator of. Tell us what it was about that experience that sparked you to pursue a career at the art house.
I did. A friend and I took a pottery class. I had taken pottery in college, so we were taking a class, and part of the class the teacher was talking about, hey, we need to have a staff person to lead. So similar to my previous story, I said, I can do that. So I met with the board, and pretty soon I was working for the Eagan Art House part-time. It was a nonprofit at that time, and that was in 2005.
It was not part of the city government, right?
It was not part of the city government. However, we partnered with the city. They handled our registration process, and we paid them a small fee for that. The building was owned by the city. At that time, that's the building, the ranch, the Rambler House.
And tell our viewers, where is the art house?
Oh, good question, Steve. The art house is on Lexington Avenue, so just south of Westcott and north of Diffley. I used to say just down the hill from McDonald's, but McDonald's isn't there anymore.
Right.
So yeah, on that Patrick Eagan Park, we sit right in front of Patrick Eagan Park, which is a wonderful natural park.
Great place, plenty of parking over there too.
Plenty of parking.
So tell us a little bit, if you would, about some of the different classes that are offered at the Eagan Art House.
Yeah. So in the early days, children's classes and pottery classes, and those have still remained. We do painting classes for all ages, multimedia, fused glass, some weaving, some pastels, some acrylic painting and watercolor. Pottery continues to be our most popular program. And in fact,
ceramics, did I
ceramics,
see too? Yeah.
Ceramics and pottery kind of
Together, yeah.
Or that we use them interchangeably. When COVID happened in 2000, a lot of art centers around, a lot of theaters were shutting their doors, and we really had a commitment to our community. We did not want to close down, and so we figured out a way to stay open. We didn't hold classes, but we allowed students to come in and have time in the pottery studio, and it became a respite for a lot of people to have something else to do besides everything that was going on in our world. And so that, that just maintained that popularity. And after COVID kind of subsided, we were able to start classes again. And we've got lots of wait lists. We have lots of people interested, people coming from all over, from cities surrounding Eagan.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Julie.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a resident of the city of Eagan to be able to register and take a class, say in pottery or painting or weaving. You don't need to be an Eagan resident to take a class.
You do not need to be an Eagan resident. So it's a real, like you said, it's an asset to our community, but really south of the river. It's a strong place to be. We have folks coming from as far as Cannon Falls and St. Paul and Savage. Yeah.
So it struck me earlier, you talked about some of the different age groups, and reading information on the website for the Eagan Art Center, it strikes me that you have something for people of all ages.
We do.
From the very youngest preschoolers up to senior citizens.
We do. We have all ages. We have children's classes all year long, especially in the summertime, lots and lots and lots of summer camps.
When they're on
when
recess.
they're on break. Yeah. We have adult-child classes where people can come in and experience things together with their children or their grandchildren, or other littles that are important in your life. We have lots of teen classes. That middle school and tween age is really popular for us. We have an after-school program here at Dakota Hills during the school year, so kids can stay after school and have an art experience and go home on their activity buses or with mom and dad. And adults, regular old adults, and then we have a rather large senior adult population for our students.
Give us an
too.
idea, Julie, approximately how many people are currently enrolled in different art classes that are offered at the Art Center? Approximate number? Won't hold you to an exact number,
yeah,
but can you give us an idea, how widely used are you?
I ran total numbers this morning that includes our events and our outreach and the things we're doing out in the community. So we're, give or take, around 10,000 people a year. So between registered classes and then what we do out in the community, we touch a lot of folks.
And something that I think viewers may be interested in, where do you find the instructors for these different courses that you offer? You offer a wide range of courses in artistic creation and expression. Where do you find those instructors and what kind of credentials do you look for?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So all of our instructors are City of Eagan employees. So that is, we post our jobs on our city website to get our instructors. So they are coming from all over. Certainly, pottery teachers need to have that skill set to teach. I want people to be working artists. Is maybe not a working artist, but at least know about the field in which they teach. But also they really need to be able to connect with our students and meet them where they are. So whether it's a variety of skill levels or a variety of ages, we really want our teachers to be able to engage in that creative process.
And you take students, I'm sure, with absolutely no experience whatsoever in having created artwork previously, correct?
Yeah.
Painting, sculpture, pottery, whatever the subject may be.
Yeah, you can be at any skill level. Beginner. We see lots of folks, maybe after they've retired. You fit into that category, Steve.
I do. In fact, just before we went on to record today, I told you that my wife and I have made the decision in principle we're going to sign up for a introduction to watercolors class.
Right. And oftentimes, raising children or starting your career and moving in through your career, you don't have time for those creative pursuits. And so, we have folks that have retired and it's like, I've always wanted to know how to paint, or I've always wanted to know how to throw pottery on the wheel. So we do have a lot of those students. We also have students who are, I did this in college, and I want to come back to it. We have a lot of people that come to us, they just want to have a night to hang out with their spouse or their girlfriend, or maybe we have a family coming to take a class, a private class, which is something we offer, also private group classes. So grandma and her grandchildren are coming to do a clay class in January. So,
That's interesting. I wasn't aware that you did private classes, too.
We do, not private one-on-one, but private group classes. So you can bring, maybe it's a wedding rehearsal dinner, or a group of bridesmaids, or a team from your work. Or we'll be starting up our birthday parties after we open into the new building, so that will be something for our younger audiences. So kids can have their 10th or 15th birthday party at the Art Center by reservation? Yep. So there's just lots of ways. We are finding more and more, maybe it was COVID, or maybe it's the time that we're in, but people just want to have experiences. It's not so much I want to learn how to be the best artist and learn how to sell my work. It's I want to learn how, I want to have this experience with my family, or this experience for myself as part of my personal growth.
It seems like for a lot of people, you serve a need, you meet a need that we have as humans to express ourselves. Some people, there are lots of different ways we express our humanity, through writing, through poetry, through creating artwork. Say a word about that, about the significance of how art connects us to other people.
Yeah, it's, art and connection has been my career. It has been what I'm personally interested in too. Creating a space where you can express yourself with no judgment, and encouragement to learn new things. People make lifetime friends at the art house.
I was just thinking
yeah.
when you were describing how the art house is open to people of all different age groups, I'm thinking particularly for seniors, this may be a tremendous opportunity for them to connect, learn some new skills in making whatever it is, artwork, pottery, whatever, and also connecting to other people.
Absolutely.
It seems that in this age of the internet and social media and all, a lot of people are leading somewhat sheltered lives that they don't have that much in-person connection with other people. The art house is a great place to meet people and, as you said, make new friends.
It is. And
for people
really,
of any age.
Of any age, and you really nailed it. We've been talking a lot about that with my staff and with other students at the art house, how important it is to connect. I would say our senior adult classes, yeah, they're painting, they're having fun, but mostly they come to our classes because they want to spend time with each other. Likewise, pottery, it necessarily is a community activity. You have to share the equipment. You have to come together and share this space because that's what you do. You don't have access to all of that equipment in your garage. There is a lot of art classes, a lot of content on the internet and on YouTube. And you can do all those things. I do too. I take classes online. But you don't get that interaction
with other people. Right, which is really valuable.
Yeah. It is.
Because we can learn from each other too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to ask you about what you brought in today that's sitting on the desk here in front of us. We see a variety of brushes. Do you want to say something about what you have here?
Well, the picture was made at the Eagan Art House many years ago, and so it has been in our kind of display collection. So this is the kind of thing that you can learn how to make at the art house. The brushes are mostly decorative. I picked out some of my favorite brushes that I like to use. This pot here is part of our raku pottery program that we do. So raku is an outdoor firing process. And we have an event every September where you can buy a pot and glaze it and then fire it on site. And so it always comes out, the process is so interesting and full of lots of science.
Is that called a kiln where am I using the right term for when you're firing pottery?
Yep.
Use a kiln?
So the kilns in our studio are electric kilns.
Okay.
So it takes about 24 hours from start to finish to heat up to as high as 2,000 degrees and then to come back down again, depending on where it is in the process. Our raku fired kilns are portable. They are fired outside, fired by propane, powered by propane. And that is a quick turnaround process. And so that's why we're able to do it for events. September 13th will be our grand opening. So you can come and do that.
As we mentioned, this show's being recorded today on November 22nd. So the art fair is tomorrow. So people watching this program, it will have already occurred.
Right.
But you do this every year, correct?
We do. We do an art sale. It's every year, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And it features local artists. Many of our instructors, many of our students will sell their work at this sale, and also artists from around the Twin Cities. So this year we have 40 artists represented, so it's always great to shop local if you can. And of course support your local artists, buy your Christmas gifts.
And again, the art show this year is where?
The art show this year is at the Eagan Community Center in the 3 gym area, so there's lots of space, free parking. And so it will be there the next 2 years. We've already have booked out for that.
Very good. So to someone who may be watching and is maybe intrigued by this and thinking maybe I should take a course, and they're thinking, how much is it going to cost?
Sure.
How do you establish the prices for the different classes? And what about supplies and material? Do
Sure.
you sell those, or do students have to purchase them outside the Art Center somewhere or online?
Yep. So we have a wide variety of pricing, from one-time workshops to our pottery classes are typically 6 weeks in length. Around $200+ for that class, including your supplies, little north of $200, including a bag of clay and your pottery supplies.
For a 6-week
For
course.
a 6-week course, 2.5 hours each week.
And are some classes probably less expensive than that, say the watercolors class or painting?
Yep, watercolor is a little bit less. Of course, you're paying for the teacher time, so that's the biggest investment, is to learn from our skilled professional teachers. Some of our watercolor classes, our senior adult classes, we provide the supplies for them. Our one-time workshops, we will provide supplies. We don't want there to be a barrier of participation if you have to then go out and buy another $100 worth of supplies. And so a lot of our classes, we do provide those supplies. Our pottery classes, with your bag of clay, all of the glazing, all of the firing, everything is included. So there's not this plus. At the Eagan Art House, you kind of pay a price and you come in and you have your experience.
And just curious, Julie, is there any financial assistance available or scholarships available? Let's say you have somebody whose means are very limited and yet they want to participate. Are there ways to help people do that?
Yeah, we have several ways to get assistance for our classes. For our senior adult classes, we have some federal grant money that is available for 62 plus that helps bring that price down a little bit for our older adults.
Many of whom are living obviously on fixed incomes when they're retired.
And then the City of Eagan, our city council, has been very, very generous in providing funds for our entire Parks and Recreation Department for Eagan residents, any age, and there is a cap on that per year, per person. And then the Eagan Art Festival that we partner with on different kinds of things, they have additional funds available for non-residents coming in and needing assistance to take Eagan Art House programs.
I want to ask you about a subject that has been in the news a little bit lately, not so much in Eagan and our immediate area here, but I've read stories in the news that some school districts in other parts of the country, frankly, have had budget cutbacks, and it seems that one of the first academic programs that they cut is often arts. It's art classes or art appreciation, or maybe subjects that you might broadly call the humanities, which art would certainly be included in that umbrella.
Sure.
And there seems to be an assumption behind that the arts are not what we would consider essential to education. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, now you got me going back to my old advocacy days.
Good.
The arts are essential for, gosh, I was listening to this book. It's called Your Brain on Art. And there is so much research about how art, whether it's music, whether it's visual art or dance or writing, it really helps your brain, and it helps your brain be able to problem solve. It is a great stress reliever. It can actually reduce your stress.
And you are not, just to be very clear, you're not talking about abstract benefits. You're talking about actual physiological benefits.
Yes. I just heard a statistic in this book yesterday that participation can actually help you live longer. Participation in the arts, and I forget the percentage at this point, but just the stress relief. I think our schools also, or the arts really help kids with critical thinking and problem solving, being able to work through a problem in their own way and get to a solution without it being so structured and without the rote memorization. And the arts, whether you're making a painting or you're figuring out how to keep that piece of pottery going on the wheel without it collapsing, that's all part of your brain working to figure out what works and making those mistakes. Making a mistake in art, there's never mistakes in art because you're always learning. You're always learning what to do next.
Right. And that's true going back to even the greatest painters that ever lived. They a process of trial and error, seeing what works.
Right.
And so I take your point that we should view the arts and creating art and places like the Art House, it's as essential to a well-rounded education as English or mathematics or science courses
100%.
In terms of developing those neurons and those brain connections that help us achieve not only artistic expression but other things too.
Yeah, and just that feeling of making something or making something with your hands and creating something, just that inherent joy in that, I think you can't replicate that by scrolling through your phone, right?
I've read stories too, Julie, that there are reports of people who have, veterans who have come back maybe from one of the wars in Iraq or Afghanistan, and they have found outlets through artistic expression that affirm what you've just said, that it helps them cope with issues like PTSD or other psychological trauma that they may have experienced during their military service. This becomes a very productive way and very therapeutic way to deal with those types of issues.
Yeah, and there's many, many organizations that work in those areas with our veterans. There's also organizations that work with incarcerated populations as well, and helping folks through the mental stress, the physical kinds of things that you might not can do without the arts. I know there's physicians that will prescribe taking an art class. We have a student in one of our classes right now that her physician had actually prescribed, do something creative, go take a painting class. So yeah, that happens all the time.
And perhaps there are studies out there that may show it helps lower blood pressure or helps, improve mental performance, cognitive issues perhaps.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, it's really something. We're down to less than 2 minutes. I want to ask you real quickly, Julie, are there other similar facilities around Minnesota like the Eagan Art House? Do you know how many other communities have something like this, or are we in a really unique place?
Well, I'd say yes, there are other art centers around the Twin Cities. They are doing wonderful work, a variety of visual art to performing arts. We are opening up a brand new building in just a few months.
Glad you mentioned that.
In just a few months, we'll be open in June. It is a built from scratch for visual art building, which is kind of unheard of.
Right in back of your current location, as I understand. I've driven by and seen activity going on over there.
Just behind the current Art House location, so same address, everything, 10,000 square feet.
Wow. Big improvement over what you have now.
And it will be a fossil fuel-free building as well. So solar panels and geothermal heating and cooling, and lots of new space for people to discover. So stay tuned
for that. June of 2025, the new Eagan Art House is coming.
Yes.
Julie Andersen, administrator of the Eagan Art House, thank you for being our guest on Access to Democracy today and sharing with our viewers the great work done at the Eagan Art House.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve. It was a pleasure.
You.